Lots of sport to do. Let's kick it off with the cricket, as you heard there. Pasted, whack. Dooley, that was a pantsing in the first T20.
Yeah, we were given a right shellacking, Marty. It was under par from us. And, you know, this England white ball setup, whether it be 2020 50 over cricket, they're a very good side when they can, you know, leave 3, 4, 5 of their better players on the sidelines. We're just sort of seeing a glimpse of how good they are at the minute.
Positives for New Zealand are what?
Adam Milne, I think, back, bowled nicely. Good to see him bowling with pace. And I think from New Zealand's point of view, just getting through games, Marty, he played, all of the 100 for the Birmingham Phoenix. He's backed that up going into the first game here. Whether he plays every game in the series or not, time will tell. But just to see him getting through games and managing his workload, really good. Glenn Phillips with some positivity. Outside of that, not a huge amount to sort of be overly enthusiastic about, I don't think.
I'm just struggling to get my head around why we're playing 4 T20s when we've got an ODI World Cup starting in a month.
Yeah, I think it's just to fulfill requirements. We haven't played T20s against England for a little while. We've had test series over here last summer, no white ball cricket. So I think it's just fulfilling the requirements. I don't mind it because it's building in nicely. And for the bowlers in particular coming off, for those who haven't been playing a huge amount of cricket, going straight into a T20 series, into a 50-over series might have been a little more difficult. You get 4 games of 20-over cricket under your belt, bowl 4 overs at a time, and then build your way into an ODI series. So I don't mind it. We're going to play 4 games against England in 50 overs. We're going to play 3 against Bangladesh. That's 7 before the World Cup. I think that's plenty of build-up.
Kane Williamson, he's with the team. He gets named officially in a couple of weeks, and then he's got another 5-6 weeks after that to get himself fit. We've been talking about this for a while now, haven't we, Simon? I can't see any set of circumstances or conditions that would preclude him being named. Tell me why he might not get named.
I can't. There's no way that he will not be named. Look, if he's 70% fit, and he looks to me like he's about 70% fit already. We know Kane Williamson so well, Marty. I mean, we all know how diligent he is when it comes to batting and practice and all of those things. Now, he's applied all of that to his recovery, and I think that's the key. He has not left any stone unturned as far as making sure he is recovering and doing every little thing he possibly can to get knee 100%. I think it's probably 3-4 weeks ahead of where any normal human being would be, which puts him about 9 weeks ahead of where you might be,
right?
In the same situation.
Sorry, that just went straight past the bat, mate. I only reacted after it went past me.
that went through to the keeper, didn't it?
Didn't it just, yeah.
But that's kind of where he's at. So you know what he's.
Yeah, look,
and I think that will put him in good stead.
And I think that makes perfect sense as well. I don't think there's a single argument that you can put forward that says, "Hey, it's a better idea to leave him out." What are the rules around it? If he does get selected and then he finds he can't play, how easy is he to replace?
Yeah, as long as he's ruled completely out of the tournament, you can replace a player. So the thing is, you can't have a player out for a few games and then have him back if you replace him. So the moment you replace a player from your initial squad, it goes through the ICC technical committee. They give permission for the player to be replaced, and then they are out of the tournament. So if you've got someone with a little niggle for a couple of games, you can not play them, but you can't replace them in the squad.
And just from your experience, because you've had the full knee reconstruction and everything else, how awkward is it? How much pain might he be in? What kind of restrictions might he have because of that injury?
He would have been in enormous pain for a while. It's just what it comes down to. The main thing that I find will be trusting that knee to run around the boundary, to slide, to put the anchors on, the brakes on, and then stop and prop or dive for a catch. Those little things are probably the things he has to go through in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, will be the tough fielding drills, and being able to trust that knee and trust that he can do everything he could do before. That's when you really find out whether it's right or not.
Simon Doull is with us. The World Cup starts a couple of days before the All Blacks play France in the Rugby World Cup opener. We'll talk about that in a second. Scott Weenik is the new CEO of New Zealand Cricket. What do you know about him?
I know enough to know he reads really well. Very, decent cricketer. Obviously got a history in the game, but also a really good history in business at the highest level, which I think is a good thing. Law background. There's plenty to like about the resume, and I think what you will find, what we probably, the one thing that David White probably lacked was media savvy. He wasn't ever great in front of the media, and I think you will see a vast difference from Scott Weenik when it comes to that side of the game as well. So, a change was needed. It was a good time for Whitey to go, and I think, I welcome the employment of Scott. I think he'll do a great job.
In terms of, and they always, call it challenges, the biggest ones that he faces, the words player availability has been thrown around, obviously trying to get, as many test cricket matches here as possible. I mean, what can he possibly do, though, about, trying to stem the tide of our players wanting to go and seek riches playing these T20 tournaments and balancing that against playing in that jersey?
I don't think he can. I think what you have to do is understand the landscape of world cricket at the moment, understand where New Zealand sit in that landscape, and we sit at the, in the middle to bottom half of that landscape. And when it comes to the pay structure, we sit right towards the bottom of that landscape. I was asked a question tonight about what someone might, like a Trent Bolt might earn out of New Zealand cricket if they only played for New Zealand. I was sort of thinking around the 400 to 450,000, and people will be listening going, well, that's more than enough. Why can't they just play for their country? If you're working in a job right now listening to this and someone turns around and offers you 10 times more money to do the same job for slightly less work, you're going to take it. And that is the reality of the life we live in. And so what can he do? Not a lot. I think what we have to move towards, Marty, is that our best players are available for World Cups, and we make sure that they're available for World Cups. And if they're playing cricket around the world in other leagues, I really don't care. The All Blacks have that aura of the black jersey. They're about the only team in the world that can do that. And New Zealand cricket certainly can't say, once you go overseas, you'll never play for New Zealand again. We have to accept that players will go overseas, players will find money elsewhere. But if we want to win a World Cup ever, as far as a T20 or a 50-over contest is concerned, we need our best players playing. And if we have to bring them back from the Dubai League, from the South African League, from the Caribbean League, so be it. I say we embrace it.
The standard of those leagues, those three that you're talking about, though, I mean, obviously, the IPL is the best players in the world, but is the standard of those other leagues good enough to actually measure that, hey, you're playing the CPL, therefore you are going to be of a standard to play international cricket? How do we know?
The same players that play, maybe not the CPL, but I mean the ILT20, the one in South Africa, the one in Dubai, the same players that play in the IPL all play in those leagues. The only ones that don't are the Indian players. You've still got all the world's best players, the Butlers, all the Marshes, the sort of all of the guys that play cricket in the IPL as top overseas players, all play in those other leagues as well. The only ones you miss are the Indians. So the standard is high. It's very good. I disagree that you should be playing some games of cricket for New Zealand. And if they ask them to come back and play in a team 2 weeks out, but a little bit like international football, Marty, which New Zealand cricket probably need to sort of be a little bit more open about what the future holds.
All right, finally, mate, you've been in England with the fallout from the All Blacks shellacking against South Africa. What's it been like?
Look, the All Blacks chat's been plentiful from my South African friends in particular. I think some that thought the All Blacks were probably in really good shape leading into the World Cup in that first game against France are now thinking again. We were beaten up by South Africa. We were out-muscled, I think, at times. And I think a lot of people now look at South Africa and maybe have them as favourites.